And now we're on Daf Ayin Amud Beis. Ein Sholem B'Shlom Isha Al Yidei Shliach, even through a Shliach. So Rav Nachman says Al Yidei Baila. What about her husband? Amalei, Rav Yehuda says Hal Kiyam Shmuel Ein Sholem B'Shlom Isha Klal. Even through the husband, because that also creates a certain kind of, liba gaspa, so to speak. Shalchalei de Besu, the wife of Rav Nachman, sends a message, Sharilei Tagre, to Lo Nashviach Kishara Ma'aretz. Why are you dealing with this Rav Yehuda who's showing you up as if you're an Amoritz? He's rejecting everything you say. Amalei, Rav Nachman says to Rav Yehuda, "My shate de mar hacha. Why did you come here?" Amalei, Rav Yehuda responds, "Taska das menusa shadar mar abasra." You sent me a subpoena for din Torah, and that's why I showed up. Amalei, Rav Nachman responds, "Hashta shusa de mar loga mirna." If I can't even speak bitzachus lashon, the language of my master, I don't even know that, is Taska das Menusa Mishadrona Lamar. I'm going to call you in and subpoena you for a din. Apik Diska. So Rabbi Yehuda produces the document as Menusa Mibei Chadya V'Achzile, and he shows it to Rav Nachman. Omalei. So Rabbi Yehuda says to Rav Nachman, Ha Gavra, this person who's a Nardoi, passed on to me this subpoena, this signed subpoena, Bahadiska, here it is. Amalei, Rav Nachman says, the whole V'Yosamar Lahacha, if you already showed up, because this guy is being tovea you, this Ben Narda, Lishtoi Mile, I should like to hear what you want to say and justify yourself that you had rights to put him into Shamta and make him into an Eved. Now that you show up, it's going to look as if one Chacham does Chanifa to the other Chacham, and therefore I didn't judge you. So do me a favor and put forward your argument. Amalei, Rav Nachman says to Rav Yehuda, my time of Shamta Marla who Gavra, why did you put him into Shamta? And Rav Yehuda responds, Shetzir Shlicha D'Rabbanan, because he was Mavaza, the Shliach of the base of the Rabbanan, the base Mitbachayim of Pumbedisa. So Rav Nachman says, V'nagdei Mar, why didn't you just beat him up? Give him Malchus for that. Because the Rav Mangin al Mar de Mitzar Shluchid Rabbanan, Rav gave Malchus to someone who was Mitzar, the Shliach of the Bezdin. And Rav Yehuda responds, the Odef Minei Avdile. I gave him a more severe punishment. I put him into Nidu, which is more severe than Malchus. Rav Nachman says, my taima achris marale the Avdu. But why did you go a step further and announce that he's an Eved? Amalei, Rav Yehuda responds, the ragil the Korean Shiavdi. Utani, a person who's ragil to call people Avadim, we learned in a brayso called a posel, pasul, he who pasels others is himself pasul. V'eno mitarbe b'shiv chaliolam, a person who doesn't speak shvach about others at all. V'yomer Shmuel, called a posel acherim, is what? V'mumo who posel, he's also pasul. Now Rav Nachman counter argues. Eimer Yomi Shmuel. When did Shmuel say that kol posel mumo posel? That's lemechishle. That we should be choshesh. That maybe he's an Eved. But lachruzi alemi Omar. Did Shmuel ever make a statement that we should be machriz that he's a vadai Eved? Adahachi v'hachi. Before Rabbi Yehuda even got a chance to respond to Rav Nachman, Amar le'ahu bardine le'Rav Yehuda, that the person who subpoenaed, the one who was put into Cherem by Rabbi Yehuda, put into Nidui, and was called an Eved, l'didi karis li'avde. Are you calling me an Eved? Diasino mi Beis Chashmonoi Malka. I am a descendant of the Beis Chashmonoi Kohanim. How can you consider me an Eved? Amalei hachi amar Shmuel. This is a Gemara we've already learned in the past. Kol ha'amar mi Beis Chashmonoi kasina avdu. Anyone who claims about himself that he's Mizera Beis Chashmonoi, then by definition he is an Eved, because the entire household of the Chashmonoim were wiped out by Hurdus, And Hurdus was an evet to the Beis Hashmonoi, and he wiped them all out, and he became the Melech, and he called his children on their names. And Bnei Yisrael would never marry Avodim, and Mistama, he and his Zerah never got married to Jewish girls because they were assumed to be Avodim. Amalei Rav Nachman Rabbi Yehuda lo Savrei Mar lo Hadi Amar Abba Abba Amar Rav Huna Marav Kol Tamid Chacham Shemora Alocha Uba Im. So there are two types of situations. There's a situation where a question comes up, and the Talmud Chacham gives his ruling, and then we find out about a Maisa that might support him. Then we trust him. And that's called Shemora Hara Uba, and then he had a Maisa, Kodem Maisa Amora, but he made a statement before the Maisa that Shomila. But Vim Lav, if he never established that rule until the Maisa came up, then ain't Shomila. He's not trusted. We're choshish that maybe because he has an Agia, because he already issued a ruling on that topic, that's why he's quoting this, Maisa Shahaya as a proof. I'm going to prove to you that Rav Masna had a diyun, and it wasn't relevant to him at all, and he issued the same ruling. And the Gemara now speaks about a pella of that story. Is Rav Masna lo chazia linarda tleis hashani. Imagine Rav Masna had not shown up in Ardoi for 13 years, but Ahu Yoma Asa, on that very day that Rav Yehuda needed him for support, he showed up in Arda. Amar Lei, Rav Yehuda said to Rav Masna, do you remember? Dochir Mar, my Amar Shmuel ki koi chada kara aguda v'chad kara amabora. When Shmuel was about to depart, he had 1 foot on the Sfas Hanor. He had another foot already in the ship, already in the on the plank that leads to the ship. Do you remember what he said 13 years ago? Amalei, Rav Masna responds, Hachi Amar Shmuel. I remember what Shmuel said 13 years ago. Called the Omer Midbeis Chashmonoi Malka Kasina Avdu. Anyone who says that I come as a descendant of Beis Chashmonoi is an Eved. Why? Again, here we have to add the word Hurdus. The Hurdus, who was an Eved to Beis Chashmonoi, wiped them all out. Lo ishtayr minayu elahi ravisa, and salka leigra v'rami kola v'amar kol the Omer Beis Chashmonoi anoi avdahu, and then v'nofla mi'igru misa. This girl was the last of the tzetzaim of Chashmonoi, and she committed suicide. And before she did so and jumped off the roof, she declared, anyone who says he comes from Beis Chashmonoi, he comes from Hurdus, and he is an Eved. So basically, at this point, Rav Nachman is on board. He understands that Shmuel gave this horah that anyone who says he's from Beis Chashmonoi is an Eved. Achur zalei diavdu. He pronounced that this person from Nardoi is an Eved. Hahu Yoma, on that day that they declared that this Nardoi is an Eved, Akron Kamak Subasa Binardoi. They ripped up a number of ksubos in the city of Nardoi from women in that mishpach. So the Marsha asked the following kash: why did they just rip up the ksubos and v'lo nesra al baleim? And he says, "Kol mikol makom paka es chayvus haksuba." That what the Baal and the Isha were both mishpachas avodim, so he didn't have to divorce her, but the ksuba is completely null and void. So there was a mekachtos in the ksuba, and therefore the chayvus of the ksuba, but we don't have to force a divorce. Why did this girl commit suicide? So the Gemara Baba Basra says that he pilas atzmi shum shel rotzo li nosei. He wanted to force her to be married to him so that he could have children from Beis Hashmonoi. And the Marsha in Baba Basra comments that Hurdus felt that once he killed all the Bnei Hashmonoi and she was the only one left, his status would be that of an Eved to her. But if he would marry her, then automatically there'd be a Shichur, like an Adon who marries a Shivcha, Yotzeis Lecherus. Kika Nofik, I just want to figure out what time is Mincha, because I went to a minyan right after the sirens went out. I don't know if you heard sirens in Yerushalayim. We had really bad sirens at Beit Shemesh. I had to lie on the floor. And as a result, we couldn't get a minyan for Mincha. It was right after that siren. So I'm going to the late Mincha. Just have to give me a minute to calculate. Is 6:40. Oh, 6:38. Okay, so I could finish another very few minutes. I apologize. It's just it's the last few minutes for Mincha. And I'm saying Kaddish for my mother. Anyway, Kika Nafik, when Rabbi Yehuda left Nardoi, Nafik Apasrei Lemigmare. All these people in Nardoi that now are psulim, because he revealed that psul, because this whole story with Beis Hashmonoi is they wanted to throw stones at him. So Rabbi Yehuda says, Isha Siku, Siku. If you'll stop what you're doing, fine. V'lo, I want to warn you, Megalina Alaichu, I am going to reveal about the Bnei Nardoi another psul. What's the other additional psul? V'ha the Omer Shmuel Tarti Zarayasa Ika B'Nardoi Chada Mikre de Beyona v'Chada Mikre de Bey or Revtoi. There are two families in Nardoi, and I'm going to reveal which of the two of them is Tameh and which is Tar. Like these two birds, Simonech. So Tameh is Tameh, right? The Orev is of Tameh is Tameh, and the Tar, meaning the Yonah, is Tar. So at this point, the Bnei Nardoi are getting very nervous because the threat was that Rabbi Yehuda would reveal which family of these two families was Kshera and which families were Asura. Shadulahu Rigmami died. They took all the stones that they collected and they threw him, and they landed in the Nor, which is called Malka, Vekam Atama Binahar Malka. And they clogged up the entire river of Malka because of the amount of stones that they wanted to throw on Rabbi Yehuda. Machris Rabbi Yehuda b'Fupedisa, Ada v'Yonasan Avdi. These two people in Pupedisa, that was his local town, called Ada and Yonasan or Avodim, and Yehuda bar Papa Mamzera. Yehuda is a mamzer. No one's allowed to marry him, except for a mamzer, right? Ubati bar Tuvia, and good old Betty, Biramus Rucha lo Shakil Gita de Chersu. All right, so Betty is a male, but he was such a gas ruach that he didn't want to receive a get shikha from his adon, and if he's an eved, he's not allowed to marry Baschor. Machris Rov Mechoza, Baloi, Tanoi, Taloi, Maloi, Zagoi, Kulam Lipsul. They're all possible level of call. Rabbi Yehuda. Those who are called Govoi are Givonim. Those who are called Dur Nunisa are Duroi, which is a kfar of Nesinoi, of Nesinim, and you're not allowed to marry from them. Omer Rabbi Yosef, Hai Bei Kuve de Pupidasi Kuli Avde. There was a village in the area of Pupidisa, which is called Bei Kova, very slow, on the outskirts of Pupidisa, and they're all Avodim. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, Arba Meos Avodim, Amri Le Arbas, Alfei Avodim, 400 or 4,000 Hoyulo, Lefashchor ben Imar, who was a Kohen, and he was a Pakid in the Beis Hamikdash at the time of Yirmiyahu and of Kulam, and they all ate Truma because the law is the Kinyan Kaspo, the Eved of a Kohen is allowed to eat Truma for V'nitma'u. However, they became mixed up with Mishpachas of Kuna. they married Benos Kohen, and they were all avodim. L'chol Kohen sheyesh lo azus ruah azus panim eino ba'al lehem. If you find a Kohen who's an azus panim, you know he came from these avodim, and he's possible. Amar Abai Kulu, all the mishpachos kuna of these sorts, Yosfan b'shura denarda, they were within the choma of the city of Narda, and Shmuel holds that as a panim konim are psulim, pliga de Rabbi Elazar, it's against Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar, Imra Isa Kohen, Biazus Metzach, Al Tahara Achrav, don't think that maybe it's possible, because as a general rule, Kohanim have a problem, they are B'nai Meriva, and they are Noeg Biazus Shenemar V'amcha Kimerive Kohen. He testifies that these Kohanim are Balei Rid. Okay, so that leads us to Amar Rabbi Ovin, Amar Rav, and that in Mirza Hashem will pick up tomorrow, and we'll get to Daf Ayin Aleph. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to run out and try to catch the last